When Albert Einstein died on April 18, 1955, the entire world felt as though it had lost its guiding light of intellect. His theories had transformed our understanding of space, time, and the very nature of the universe. People admired his genius, but few knew that the story of his brain would itself become one of the most fascinating and controversial mysteries in scientific history. Einstein's body was taken to Princeton Hospital in New Jersey, where a pathologist named Dr. Thomas Harvey performed the autopsy. Harvey was an ordinary man, meticulous, quiet, and not famous. But that night, he made a decision that would mark his name in history. Without asking for permission from Einstein's family, Dr. Harvey carefully removed Einstein's brain. He believed that this was no ordinary organ, it was the source of humanity's greatest ideas, and he thought it must be studied to uncover the secret behind genius itself. He weighed the brain, 1,230 grams, an average weight for a man of Einstein's age. There was nothing special about its size or color. Yet Harvey's curiosity didn't stop there. He photographed it from every angle, then dissected it into 240 small blocks. These he preserved in celloidin, a rubbery substance that prevents decay. He prepared hundreds of microscope slides from tiny tissue samples. Each slide was like a piece of a puzzle, a window into the mind of the man who changed physics forever. However, Harvey's decision came at a cost. Einstein's son, Hans Albert, was furious when he discovered what the doctor had done. The family demanded that the brain be returned, but Harvey convinced them that he would use it solely for scientific study. He argued that learning from Einstein's brain could benefit all of humanity. Eventually, they reluctantly allowed him to continue. Still, Harvey's life spiraled downward. He lost his job at Princeton Hospital, his marriage fell apart, and he became something of a recluse. But he refused to give up the brain. He moved from state to state, carrying it with him in jars and boxes, sometimes keeping it in his basement, sometimes in a cooler. For decades, he guarded it like a sacred treasure. In the 1970s and 1980s, Harvey began sending small samples of the brain to scientists around the world. Those who examined it found remarkable details that began to explain Einstein's mental uniqueness. The parietal lobe, which is the part of the brain associated with spatial reasoning, mathematics, and visual imagination, was 15% larger than average. This might explain why Einstein could visualize complex ideas in his mind before expressing them in equations. Even more astonishing was the discovery that the Sylvian fissure, a deep groove that normally divides parts of the brain, was almost absent in Einstein's left hemisphere. In most people, this fissure separates regions responsible for analytical thought from those used for visual spatial processing. But in Einstein's case, the two regions were merged. This unusual structure likely allowed for faster communication between different parts of his brain, enabling logic and imagination to interact seamlessly. Scientists also noticed an increased density of glial cells, which are not neurons themselves but act as the support system of the brain. Glial cells nourish neurons, remove waste, and speed up signal transmission. The higher the glial cell count, the more efficiently neurons can work. Einstein's brain had significantly more glial cells than those of average individuals. Researchers theorized that this was the biological foundation of his ability to think deeply for long periods without fatigue. These findings fascinated the world, but the mystery only deepened. Was Einstein born this way, or did his brain adapt over a lifetime of intense thinking? Neuroscientists now believe that both nature and nurture played a role. Einstein himself once said, "It's not that I'm so smart. It's just that I stay with problems longer." That persistence may have physically reshaped his brain over time, strengthening the very pathways that made his thoughts so extraordinary. By the 1990s, Dr. Harvey was an old man, living quietly in Kansas. He realized he couldn't keep Einstein's brain forever. So, he reached out to Evelyn Einstein, Albert's granddaughter, and returned what remained of the organ. But before doing so, he allowed scientists to re-examine the preserved pieces with advanced imaging tools unavailable in earlier decades. Those studies revealed something new. Einstein's brain had exceptional symmetry between the left and right hemispheres. In most humans, the left side controls logic and language, while the right side controls creativity and emotion. But Einstein's brain seemed unusually balanced, suggesting that both sides worked together. This rare structural harmony might explain how he could merge cold, logical equations with a poetic vision of the universe, why he could describe gravity not just as a force, but as the curvature of spacetime itself. Another intriguing observation was that the corpus callosum, the bridge connecting the two hemispheres, was thicker than average. This meant faster and richer communication between both sides of his brain. Modern scientists suggest that this interconnectivity might have given Einstein his unique ability to see mathematical problems as vivid mental images, rather than just symbols on paper. Einstein's brain, in many ways, mirrored his personality, complex, balanced, and endlessly curious. He was not merely a man of numbers, he was a dreamer who played the violin, spoke of imagination as more important than knowledge, and saw beauty in scientific truth. His creativity was not separate from his intellect, it was deeply intertwined with it. Even so, Einstein himself never wanted to be treated like a god or an experiment. In his will, he asked that his body be cremated and his ashes scattered quietly, without fanfare. He feared that people would turn his remains into objects of worship. Ironically, that is exactly what happened with his brain. For decades, pieces of it were studied, photographed, and even displayed in museums. Yet, to this day, it continues to raise more questions than answers. What truly made Einstein a genius? Was it his unique brain structure, or was it his relentless curiosity, the way he could imagine riding alongside a beam of light, or question why the sky is blue? Scientists agree that while his brain anatomy was indeed special, it was his mind, his attitude toward learning and wonder, that made him extraordinary. Today, fragments of Einstein's brain are preserved in the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia and in various research institutions. Scientists still examine them, not to glorify Einstein, but to understand how biology and creativity intertwine. His brain reminds us that intelligence isn't only about IQ or size, it's about connection, imagination, and the courage to think differently. In the end, perhaps the real secret of Einstein's brain isn't in its folds or fissures. It lies in a simple truth that he himself believed deeply: curiosity is the engine of human progress. His brain was special, yes, but so was his ability to never stop asking why. And that is something every human being can share, no matter what our brains look like. Einstein's legacy lives on not only through his theories but also through this strange, enduring mystery of his brain, a symbol of how far our curiosity can take us, and a reminder that genius, at its heart, begins with wonder.